Women are being harmed by an app that claimed it would keep them safe. I'm shocked. Somebody used the anxiety of women against them. That has never happened before, except in almost every election, in online discourse, in the workspace, in places of worship. Yep, it pretty much always happens every day, everywhere. You've probably heard about a recent data breach, if you can even call it that. Is it a data breach if the door was left unlocked with a big sign that said welcome? It happened with an app called T. The idea behind the app wasn't new. There have been websites created around this idea for a pretty long while now, in part because people love talking shit about their exes. And people love hearing, yeah, girl, he was crazy. Unless you're a straight guy. Then they like hearing, yeah, man, she was crazy. Straight people are weird. Gay guys just kind of accept that we're all nuts. Though we do blame straight people for the fact that we're all nuts. Y'all do some real shitty stuff to us. Maybe I should make an app. Anyway, shockingly, an app that decided to try and make libel a business model by billing itself as protecting women didn't have the highest standards in terms of security. I am so surprised. Turns out that the app was keeping heaps of photos, including ID of women who had proven their womanliness in order to get access to the app, in a completely unsecured directory on the internet. Trying to think of a comparable metaphor is difficult, but it would kind of be like if you reported a horrible crime to the cops and they said, we'll behave with the utmost confidentiality, and then they stored all their case files at the public library. So, what does this mean? Well, a whole lot of women are going to get their identities stolen. If you've used that app and don't already use a credit monitoring service, and by the way, there are free ones, I'm not going to plug any of them because they're all run by terrible companies, but if you've created an account on this T app, maybe sign up for one of those things. Again, they're awful, but a lot of them these days are free because unfortunately the system used to determine how people can take out credit is really not really built for the last 3 decades. The internet kind of breaks it. But yeah, this app claimed it cared about women's safety, but they didn't. Now, you can argue that it was maybe developed by someone who isn't a programmer and they simply trusted their staff to ensure that the app was safe. But that's not really how software development typically works. Any executive running a company is going to hear about things like data breaches regularly. They have so many reasons to be just as paranoid as this app's user base would be. Because this sort of thing destroys trust and credibility. If this was about protecting women, they would have been ensuring that things were deleted after collecting them for verification purposes. They would have had people auditing how the app works and how data is stored. I'm going to assume that if they were storing private information in a public manner, nobody was doing that auditing. But just like so many people and companies who have built their reputation and brand on telling women who are exhausted from the gender based nonsense that is forced onto women, both from men and from other women, these people just wanted to make money. They never cared if anyone got hurt in the process. Why would the data have been stored in an insecure fashion? You could argue that it was just laziness, and that's probably what a lot of people are going to assume. But personally, I suspect that somebody at the company, maybe not the CEO, but wouldn't be surprised if it was them, was making money on the back end by ensuring that this data could be pulled out by criminal actors and used in identity theft. And I just want to remind you, politicians aren't really against this sort of thing. Not really. Most of them don't even have a good understanding of how software development works or how the back end of these sort of platforms work. Many of them will take donations and kickbacks from any number of large software companies who, their business model could make more money if things were less secure for users. Beyond that, spy agencies also regularly try and convince politicians to do things like requiring encryption backdoors into security platforms, which is a terrible idea. Always, if you ever see an article where a politician is talking about the importance of backdoors can't be patched out without updating devices. Devices stop getting software updates. If you put a backdoor in, that means that once a criminal organization finds that backdoor, people have unfettered access to those devices, and it's fundamentally terrible. Privacy should be considered a human right. Privacy is not respected by capitalism. Women are not respected by capitalism. You are not respected by capitalism. People on here wonder why I'm a chicken? It's because I'm old enough that I've learned not to trust people. I like people, and I'm often more trusting than I should be, but this face protects me just a little bit, and it makes it so that I'm less vulnerable to someone who I might otherwise be inclined to trust. Because oftentimes the people who claim that they're going to help protect you are the first ones to put a new hole in your body and giggle while they do it. Never trust a company whose services you're not paying for, because if you're not paying for it, that means you're the product.